Britain dominated global political power through imperialism, colonization, and relentless conquest. One of history's largest empires, only second to the Mongols, the British Empire covered over 14 million square miles, around a quarter of the world's total land area, and ruled over 500 million people, over a quarter of the world's population.
You know, they say the sun never sets in the British Empire. At its largest, Britain occupied land in 6 out of 7 continents, and one area was always in daylight at any given time. Canada, South Africa, Australia are only a few names of places which Britain conquered. However, out of all of their colonies, Britain valued one land more than all other lands: India.
The British Raj in India would have not have ever been possible without the formation of joint stock companies. Often called the crown jewel of England, India was a land of vast resources and wealth, and was in the perfect location for Indian Ocean trade, which caught the eye of British joint stock companies.
Starting off as a small London enterprise, the East India Company emerged as the most powerful commercial and political organization, who quickly took control of India and helped shape its modern history. The spark that ignited the conquest in India began on December 16th, 1600, when a group of merchants had been granted a royal charter by the Queen. The company's main objective was to obtain spices of the East Indies, and it went to India only for the purpose of growing cotton and to sell to the spice growers. At first, India was merely a source of trade for raw materials for England. However, as the Mughal Empire began to decline, the company began to set their eyes on India's territories. Oh, hey there. Fresh from victory with the French, and with backing of its own private army, the company was able to advance without facing any further obstacles from other colonial powers. Now the only obstacle that remained were the local rulers resisting to their presence. One of the most effective tactics used by the British was the doctrine of lapse. Instead of waging war against the princely states, the company signed a treaty with local rulers, wherein if a ruler died without an heir to the throne, the East India Company would take over instead. Slowly, among the disunified states, the British East India Company began to gain power.
By the early 1700s, the company had officially monopolized trade in India and was the dominant power in the area. However, the company faced difficulties in 1857 during the Sepoy Rebellion. The British had supplied their Indian troops gunpowder pouches for the infield rifle covered in pig fat. This offended and caused outrage amongst Indians, sparking the event now known as the Indian Rebellion. The rebellion was eventually put down through the help of the British, and some territory was lost as well. Company rule in India lasted until 1858. The British government decided to strip the British East India Company of power due to increasing concerns of the company separating from the nation. Following the Indian Rebellion and the India Act of 1858, the British Crown and Queen Victoria gained direct control of India in the form of the new British Raj. In 1858, British Crown rule was established in India, ending a century of control by the East India Company. Due to the Indian Rebellion, led by Bahadur Shah, the last Mughal emperor, British government was more strict and harsh. The British exiled Emperor Bahadur Shah, executed his family, and attempted to liquidate the Mughal Empire. Cultural and religious centers were closed down, and the new headquarters was placed in Calcutta, where the Governor-General remained the head of the government in India. The arrival of the British also meant the arrival of great leaps in industrialization and modernization. Although the British were negatively impacting the Indians socially, they were benefiting them economically. The first areas to be industrialized were associated with the developments in mainly plantations like jute, cotton, and steel. However, India also experienced rapid changes in technology involving transportation and communication. Railways, canals, roads, and bridges were rapidly built, and telegraph links were established for raw materials, such as cotton, and could be transported more efficiently to ports. Over time, the gap between the British and Indians grew, so much that British families and their servants lived in areas at a great distance from Indian settlements. Tensions were on the rise, and self-government movements were increasingly gaining support. The first step in independence from the British came in 1909 when the Indian Councils Act, also known as the Morley-Minto Reforms, were passed. This allowed for Indians to have limited roles in the central and provincial legislatures, giving them some political influence. Over time, the people of India began to gain support and power in government, but their political demands were not yet satisfied. After being involved in the 2 world wars, the Indian People's Movement had been put on hold. However, after World War II, Mahatma Gandhi's peaceful movement and the Indian National Army gained support from the people, and revolts against the British began to sprout all over India. These revolts, faced by the weakened post-war Raj, along with the fact that the faith in the British Indian armed forces had been lost, ultimately shaped the decision to end the Raj, and the British began negotiations with the Indian National Congress for the independence of India. On August 15, 1947, the transfer of power took place. At midnight, on August 14, 1947, Pakistan was granted independence by the demands of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and India was granted independence the following day. Following British occupation and independence, India was forever changed. After decades of oppression and struggle, the Indian people were free. Despite the hardships, British occupation brought along many new technologies and systems. India experienced a rise in universities and European-style education, and the number of people who spoke English greatly rose. The new railway, telegraph, and mail systems connected the entire Indian subcontinent, transforming India from independent monarchical states to a united democracy. Life expectancy was around 37 years in the early 1900s, and almost doubled to 65 in the late 20th century.
Oh, hey there. It's Larry from Imperialism Incorporated. Today I'm bringing you the 1853 Enfield rifle. Need to conquer territory to extract raw materials? Neighboring countries giving you a bother? Indians trying to rebel? I've got your one solution. Well, you're in luck. With this here revolutionary product, you can solve all your problems in 3 simple steps.
This percussion lock rifle will shoot them long and straight using brand new bullet technology. The 1853 Enfield rifle is so good, we give it to our own soldiers down in India in the British Raj.
Don't be like this guy. With the new 1853 Enfield rifle, he'll be lighting them up in no time. Call now to receive your very own 1853 Enfield rifle, complete with a loading kit, 500 rounds of ammo. Just load it up, bam! You're ready to conquer the world. No pig fat required. First, you gotta put in the loading kit. Just oh yeah, you just kind of layer that all in there, lubricate that, cock it back. All clear, fire!